welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in here for another episode of Panthers versus the World. And quickly, got to just shout out our producer, Joel. Thank you, buddy, for everything you do. You're greatly appreciated. And to all the fans that are watching, thank you very much. Anyone who's tuning in, it's honestly greatly appreciated your support. Please hit the like button if you're here. That'd be awesome of you. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in on what's been a wild ride. Jeremy, take it away. Tell us how you're feeling.
I mean, what can I say? This is we're it's one more game. You're one more game from wiping this entire franchise of a clean slate, basically, and just giving the fans what they wanted for so many years. This is the reason why we started a franchise, and in hopes of bringing a cup eventually to South Florida, and we finally could. We're one win away.
Yeah. Kind of what I want to do on this episode is, I mean, quickly we could talk about the game, but and honestly, I'd like to do kind of just a overview of the franchise, what being a Panthers fan is, and what just winning the cup is going to mean to the city, this South Florida as a whole, the fan base, everything. I think that'd be more interesting to talk about. While the job is not done, I think every Panthers fan would be lying if they say that it's not basically already there. You got a lot of work to do. The Oilers will not go away quietly. I don't think, as we saw last night. But I mean, when you're this close and you got four chances to go win it, it's hard not to look ahead. But yeah, I mean, any just overall thoughts on the game, and then we could kind of do a just take on what being a Panthers fan has been here for all of our lives.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and quickly go over a couple of things I want to go ahead and talk about. I thought Sergei Bobrovsky was again unstoppable last night. He let in a couple goals that, in my opinion, weren't necessarily his fault. I feel like he could have had that first one and the Warren Fogle one. I feel like he probably could have had that one, but um, whatever happens, happens. And I thought Bob was at the top of his game again last night, and he's one more win away from basically certifying his legacy as a South Florida and hockey legend in general. And also go ahead and talk about Barkov. Another great game from Alexander Barkov. Uh, was terrific defensively against that top line when he could and when he was on the ice. And on the offensive end, he scored a goal and he created a few good chances. Thought Barkov was again another great night. Matthew Tkachuk too. Great to see him get on the point board there with the assist to Bennett. The entire team I felt like was playing great. Besides the last 10 minutes of the third period, so just continue that, and yeah, you're gonna win that last one for sure.
Yeah, I think everyone was great. I don't think this is a controversial take whatsoever, but I think the Conn Smythe is down to Bob or Barkov. I definitely say Bob has the lead for sure, but a lot could change. I mean, if the Oilers win the next game, then it reopens between the two. But I don't think it's one of the two for sure. I think again, Bob has pretty much. I think if we win the next game and it's three goals or less for the Oilers, I think the contract is Sergei Bobrovsky. Um, and then, if it's a higher scoring game and Barkov has 2 points or maybe three, which he was so close to last night, could be his. It's going to be interesting. The vote, it's always weird voted awards. As we saw last year, I mean, honestly, Jack Eichel to me was by far and away the best player for the Vegas Golden Knights. But Mark Stowe is equally as deserving, but I thought Eichel should have got it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, just Aaron Ekblad has been incredible in this series, and a series that I honestly beforehand thought wouldn't be to his strengths just because he's not the fastest of guys. And there's plenty of speed on this Oilers team. I mean, he's been a monster. Puts Fogle into the Panthers bench. That was great. And speaking of the Panthers bench, um, Oilers fans with the turtle Chuck jokes still going. I mean, that one's going to be put to bed, I think, here pretty soon. But I don't know why you're still doing that. Weird. I mean, sure, it's funny then, But I mean, come on, guys. Like, I don't get it anymore. Um, and for a couple other things on the game, I mean, I want to give the Panthers some more flowers to call your guy, Vladimir Tarasenko, key goal, obviously. But for as much hype as and everything as we got for the Oilers crowd, which was incredible pregame, but as soon as the game started, I mean, you could cut the tension in there with a knife. And I mean, it's hard to blame him. Obviously, you're down 0-2, playing the best team in the NHL, and I don't blame him. But I was a little underwhelmed by the crowd. That I also heard um, everyone in the lower bowl left at 4-1, and they let the people from the upper deck down into the lower bowl for the third period, which was
That, you know
awesome by the
what, that
ushers.
makes a lot more sense because I don't know if it was just me, but watching that third period and looking at the upper deck, it almost looked like the upper deck looked empty.
I
So I
didn't see
didn't
the
know
upper
if like
deck, but yeah, that's what I heard from someone who was there.
I couldn't tell if it was true or not, or if like I couldn't tell if it was just the lighting or because it was very dark in that arena last night. It looked like towards the third period. Besides the lighting,
Dark and gloomy.
it looked very dark. So I didn't know if it was true or not. Like it's like looking up at it, I was kind of thinking to myself that it looked like the upper decks were lowered and they cleared out, but I couldn't tell if that was true or not. But if someone's saying that must have been happened. It must have happened.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was pretty cool by the ushers, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, not to roast the fans. I'm never one of someone to leave early, just because I paid money for the tickets. What else am I gonna go do? Like, it's not like the Oilers fans who left the game aren't still watching the game or listening on the radio. I don't really understand leaving early ever. I think I always love making fun of it, but I mean, it's not like South Florida is one who aren't people to leave the games early, the fans in general. But regardless of that, back to the game itself. I mean, just what a second period. This team just capitalizes off mistakes, and the Oilers to this point have still yet to score a power play goal in the series. And I think that's just full credit to the guys on the ice and Bob and Net. Um, yeah, I mean, if you said there was going to be one power play goal in this series and it'd be from Evan Rodriguez, I think everyone would think you were crazy. But here we are, and I think as the game continue here into Game 4, possibly Game 5 and beyond, power plays are really going to start to dry up. Um, I do think there's a bit of a shift, and then I'll kick it over to you for some more thoughts of the game. But now the Oilers have nothing to lose. The weight, quote unquote, is off them. The pressure is all on us. So I think that's a interesting dynamic change. Maybe they can play more free. Um, but I got a sense in that game that, like, at a certain point it moved from like frustration to defeat until that Broberg, or I don't know if we should even call it a Broberg goal, is Mikola own goal, but which was just hilarious.
Mikola's
But
elbow.
they're finding new ways to beat Bob, I guess. But yeah, I think that they kind of just looked like a defeated team. But I mean, that could all change. Now their weights off their shoulders. They can play different. I did hear one Oilers post game show say that they figured out how to solve Bob in that third period, and they could take that moving forward. Which
I don't
that
know
was
about
quite the
that.
take. Yeah,
That first goal in that third period, no one's stopping. I mean, Mikola was literally behind Bob, and
I
the
I couldn't
second
figure out how
one,
it went in for until they showed the replay. I was like, they go off the
I didn't
glass.
even know
Like, what
either. I
happened?
remember looking up. I'm like, that went in.
Yeah, I was like,
That went
something
in.
had to be a high stick or something. I was so confused.
I was waiting for like a really good shot because like I had my like head down at the time when they scored, and I was looking, and I was like, oh, it must have been like a really good shot or something like that. And I look over, I'm like, that's what when it. How did I even go in? And the second goal, I was saying to myself, okay, either Bob is definitely like washed now or something, or and then I saw the replay. I'm like, no, that's just a really good tip. That's like a
Yeah,
really
it's
good
good.
direction. I'm like, that was an amazing play. That's not figuring out Bob. That's just a really good redirection that no one's stopping realistically.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
can't.
Bennett's got to be a bit better on two defensive plays in the game, but
Yeah,
you're still one win away.
I think Ben. I think he had a great game, but I think of course, the one glaring aspect of his game has always been his defense as a little bit of a liability sometimes, and last night a couple times it was, but I mean Ben is so good, but um, yeah, that's pretty much all I have really on the game. I mean, the team played so well last night. I mean, I think I would say definitely you could tell that the team just looked so out of it about 4-1, like with 5 minutes left in the second, and the team just looked so just deflated. You could tell that everyone in the stadium just kind of collapsed after that Tarasenko goal to make it 2-1 after Skinner turned it over. That felt like the point of the game where it was like, wow, Florida's taking it. It's going to be a 3-0 series lead. This is insane because that doesn't happen. That's a mistake you can't make, and Tarasenko is right there for it. Great pass to go ahead and set up Tarasenko, and 3-0 series lead. That was 2-1 goal. Also worth noting that Tarasenko line has been so good.
So
It's
good.
been just those top three lines have been so amazing, and that fourth line is just there to wreak havoc. And at times they have set up some goals, which is cool to see too. I guess that's just a little added on bonus, but the entire offense has been really impressive. The defense has been shut down. I'm getting tired of Kulikov at times just because I feel like the more times I see him, the more times it frustrates me, especially when Hyman had a breakaway, but Kulikov stepped up and saved himself from that by getting a stick on it. But I mean, Kulikov kind of just let Hyman walk in and get a breakaway in that second period before it looked like they were going to take a lead for a second, I believe, and that quickly changed afterwards because then we scored like a couple minutes later. But either way, Kulikov just kind of stood there and let Hyman just enter the zone and get right past him, which was very frustrating to me. But it worked out in the end, so we're okay. So 3-0 series lead, and tomorrow at 8 o'clock, which is realistically like 8:20 because they have to do two anthems. Um, hopefully is the last one, but at the same time, I don't even care how you win it, just win it.
Totally. It's always a debate, which is like with fans, and I get it. Like, should we drop the game? They're not gonna. I don't even think that's up for debate. Like, I get it. Um, Personally, and I would be there for Game 5. I want this thing to end Saturday. Um, yeah, I mean, I think lifting it on their ice would be awesome. Um, it'd be awesome for the fans here. Obviously, in a moment that you may never ever get to see in your life again. That your team winning a Stanley Cup, and then to win it on home ice would just be amazing. I mean, either way, is great. But all that being said, still got to go win the fourth game, which is the hardest one to get. Um, so yeah. A couple other maybe. Let me ask you what you want to do here. Do you want to talk more, like preview for Game 4, or you want to save that for the end, right before the end? Like couple of thoughts on like I want to do Conn Smythe, handoff, clinching goal. Want to save those for the end? Give you some time to think about it.
Yeah, save that for the end, and
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna put too much effort into that one just because I've seen this team blow leads like none other. I can never get too satisfied.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair
so
enough. Fair
so
enough. I'll give
I
mine
won't
if
be
you want to chime in. Feel
I
free.
won't put too much effort into that thought, but I will join in the conversation. I would personally, I'm just currently thinking about. I wonder if a team of 16 McDavid's could beat a team of 16 Barkovs. Like I
I
don't
don't
know,
know.
but it's a worthy. I would probably pay $500 to see that happen.
I think Barkov. I mean, he's a quiet guy. If he was in a different market, it'd be a different story. But I mean, he's put himself in the conversation of top. I dare to say maybe top three players in the NHL. Um, I do think it is Connor McDavid one, obviously, but the problem that the Oilers have is this team is so poorly built from top to bottom, and whether that's like the GM just giving too much money to Darnell Nurse and resources can't be allocated I'll try, and it's not just Darnell Nurse. Obviously, I'm not trying to pick on him, but just it's a poorly built roster. I mean, like when you have Leon Draisaitl who has to play with Corey Perry, who's pushing 40 years old, and Dylan Holloway or Warren Fogle. I mean, that's not a recipe for success. Yeah, I mean, this is just a poorly built roster. You don't have someone in net who's going to be able to carry you. Like, I don't get really what's being done here with the Oilers roster. And I mean, we've seen it time and time after again in the playoffs before. And I think you're seeing it again in these Stanley Cup Finals. And, the three games so far, the series has been closer than the score line suggests. But I still think that like the Panthers have been the ones in control, dictating the game, and have proved that they're the best team by a mile between the two.
Yeah, I would go ahead and say that I think the Oilers team is solid, but it just reminds me too much. And I said it a little bit during our preview of the series, but I just think about it more and more. It kind of reminds me of how the Panthers were last year. I'm not comparing the two teams because the Panthers team from last year was most likely worse. And put it in perspective, that team was still had no identity going into the last year's playoffs. Their miracle run is still a miracle. This miracle run by the Oilers, I wouldn't even say a miracle. I mean, it's a good team and everything, but they were still a really good regular season team, and they had success for a reason. I mean, they had Connor McDavid. No one has a Connor McDavid. No one has a Leon. No one has a Leon Draisaitl. But the part that made me think of the Florida Panthers from last season was the fact that they had Stuart Skinner, who wasn't having the greatest of seasons, despite that win streak that they did have at one point, especially with him at the helm. He was really good in that for that stretch. He has a history of being a little bit mediocre or maybe underwhelming after having a really good season a few years ago, and he turned it on last series against Dallas, and this series it's been a collapse for him. In game, I don't want to go ahead. I'm not putting the blame on him necessarily for losing, because I would go ahead and say, though, I mean, if there's a different goalie in net, if we face Igor, I don't know if we win game one. If we face Igor, I'm not sure if we win game two. But I mean, although to be fair, all those shots that the Rodriguez won, the Mikula won, those were nice shots. But even then, if we face like the Barkov one or all those other shots, I'm not sure if we beat Shesterkin. Shesterkin was so amazing again for in that New York series. I don't know, to put him against Sinner is so unbelievably like one. It's so lopsided. It's not even close.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, the difference in goaltending is so wildly massive.
I do think that for the Oilers, like, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a 1-to-1 that they're a goalie away, but I mean, I agree with you 100%. If they had a goalie on the other side that's like of the caliber of goalies the Panthers have placed on this run, or of Bob's level, I don't think that they could win a Stanley Cup any year for sure. Um, I think when you look at them now, it feels like they run into a team, and if the team is good enough defensively and they're going to struggle to score, then they're at a severe disadvantage. But I mean, I personally would put the blame on the Oilers' offense.
Yeah,
While they got to three in the game yesterday, I mean, it's a questionable three. It's still three. But if you score one goal through two games, and then that's how you get to three in the third game, I mean, you're not going to win any series. I don't care who you're playing when you can only put up numbers like that. Um, I mean, I'm not going to really harp on the Oilers more. I think the Oilers fans are doing enough of that on their own. And yeah.
I will say this, that it's not another like it's also the fact that we already mentioned Darnell Nurse before, but you have Cody Ceci. When your main defenseman has got it was almost the record for the most negative, the worst plus minus in a single playoff run. That's not good.
Tied with
You're in the
Reinhardt's
Stanley Cup
dad.
Finals, and you're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and you have to go ahead and compare Gustav Forsson to Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse is a great defender. He's a great player. He wasn't this year, and he has been this year. He's injured right now. At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if they benched him, because he's been that much of a liability for this team that I almost feel bad for him, because he's so much better than this. We've seen him. There's a reason why he's getting paid that much amount of money. because he was better than this.
Yeah.
So it's I feel bad for Darnell Nurse. I don't feel bad for the Oilers because they did this to themselves. I understand why they give him that much amount of money, but there's also a reason why most GMs don't give out huge contracts to players that have show signs of either A, regression, or show signs of B, being like a 1 year wonder. And Dale Talon did this plenty of it. As I look at pictures of Dale Talon on my computer right now, um, Sergei Bobrovsky showed signs of regression when he was at Columbus. We handed him $10 million, and there's things like that. Although, thank you, Bob, because you have saved my life. But more importantly, Darnell Nurse, he was a great player, and he got paid respectfully because of it. So he eventually, probably not this season, because this season is probably too late for Darnell Nurse to turn it around. But next season he's gonna have to have a huge year, just do something. And then they're on the hook for guys like Cody Ceci, all these other guys. And that's why when you look down the lineup and you realize how much they're paying to each one of these guys, then like, okay, well then it makes the whole story sum up and makes it so much clearer as to why this team is down 3-0 in the finals right now.
So I think that's a good transition to kind of talk about. And I don't know if you caught this on the broadcast, but they mentioned how Gustav Forsling is the number one defensive defenseman in the NHL. And that basically happened from he's all of a sudden became the best defensive defenseman to the wider public at the start of the playoffs this year. Was he before? I don't think anyone would have even known who he was, to be quite frank. A few months ago. But I mean, he's earned that title. Speaking of Dale Talon, I mean Bill Zito. I think this guy is a wizard. We're so lucky to have him here. I don't. It's not like that he's not well compensated or anything. But I mean, he's so good. Like I could see him getting a call from Toronto or one of these or New York, Boston, etc. Well, I don't know if he'll take it because of what he's done here and how much being here means to him, and we gave him the shot. But I mean, Bill Zito, a mastermind. The Panthers pro scouting, incredible to pick up Forsling, Lusterinen, um, other guys that are escaping my mind here. Trading for Bennett.
I do believe Losterainen was a Dale Talon guy.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I
Okay, well,
believe he was
Dale
in the
Talon's laid the groundwork.
he was in the Trocheck trade.
Correct. So yeah, I take that back. Maybe I'm not not as I don't know what the word I'm looking for here, but anyways, trading for Bennett, getting Carter Verhaeghe from Tampa, Kachuk trade, just so much. Like Bill Zito, incredible. All the credit in the world for putting together this team, and to go further to the staff. I mean, um, Roberto Luongo, legend of the game, is 1 win away. Paul Maurice, coach for God knows how long, longer than me and you have been alive. Maybe not combined, I don't think, but damn close to it.
You've been coaching for a long time. My dad actually goes, "Oh, I remember when he was the coach of the Whalers."
Yeah, if you talk to some people, like, who are the Whalers? But yeah,
Yes.
it's unbelievable. Is 1 win away. Um, all the credit, to him. I mean, just unreal. If you heard the story of Paul Maurice getting the call from Bill Zito, to think that the snowball effect. I mean, just so many things. Like you could look at this Panthers team in the lead up to being 1 game away. Bob doesn't say the shot on Marchand. Where are we? Where would we be? We wouldn't be in this spot, I don't think. It's just unbelievable, the little things. And yeah, I mean, just in recent memory, unbelievable. The funnest of rides with this team, and just to be 1 win away from capping it off and having something all Panthers fans will never forget is unbelievable.
1.5 years ago today, I would go ahead and say the Panthers were saying, "Hey guys, Bill Zito, he did the Sherratt trade. He made some boneheaded moves in the offseason. We couldn't re-sign Claude Giroux. Bill Zito decided to go ahead and hand him a disastrously bad amount of money. laughable at that point, where Claude Giroux looked at it and didn't even respond and left immediately. With, he handed him like a 1 year, $1 million deal, and you don't even people were saying after that, guys, Bill Zito's on the hot seat because you have a GM that's doing this. He couldn't re-sign Marchment. He couldn't find a way to re-sign Giroux. We had no money. He traded away we traded away our draft capital so we could get Ben Sherratt. We lost Giroux. We got early exited in the second round in a sweep. And if we lose in 7 that series, fine. But we lost in a sweep. We were the President's Trophy winners. We didn't even show up, and we didn't look like it. And we got killed by our demons again, Vasilevsky. And after that, yeah, it's 6 months later, maybe
Everyone
a little bit
pounding
more,
the
maybe
table
10
to
months
keep
later.
Brunette.
You have Bob struggling. You have, at this point, Alex Lyon is pretty much a new starter. Spencer Knight's not even on the team anymore because he's fighting his own battles. He's not there. You're missing your top 2 goalies from the start of the season. Your coach has actively lost the locker room. Team's not even listening to him anymore. And what happens is we have a Paul Maurice going off on the team in Toronto. And since that moment, the team hasn't looked back. The team has been completely different. They have a new identity since then. And that game in Toronto, it always seems like everyone always talks about it, but it does genuinely feel like that game in Toronto. Look back at the game in Ottawa, like a few games earlier than that Toronto game. Look at the team then. The team was lost. That team doesn't look like the team that they had going into the playoffs. It is such a dramatic change in identity, play, from guys from being on the hot seat to guys having jobs and statues potentially being built outside of American Arena, all in within 1 year, 1.5 years of time. That's how much this team has grown and how much it's just changed over the years. And it hasn't even been over the years; it's been 2 years at most. And that's the most incredible thing about this entire ride is this team has been so not even I don't even want to say down on the luck. They've been so bad just in general. The entire franchise has had a history of just losing, blowing games, and now they're 1 game away from being the the best team in the world.
You just perfectly described the video that I'm sure people are going to make here of the run, the Panthers Stanley Cup winning run. You exactly where to start it from. Got me goosebumps. You talking about it. Yeah, I mean, someone you maybe you've made some great videos in the past. Put together all the clips. Not to put that on you because that's going to be a lot of work. but
I
but
can
yeah,
do
I
it.
mean, I'm sure you'd be happy to. But yeah, I mean, like it's honestly the word that I've been saying the past I don't know how long it's been. Probably like 10 hours is just surreal. It's just surreal to be in this spot to think back at from me as a Panthers fan. My first memories are just going with friends and family. Some no longer with us to the games, and we were there sitting in the 400 level, 300 levels, whatever it was back then. And I mean, you could count the people in the stadium. Watching guys like Stephen Weiss, David Booth, just being like,
Chris Versteeg.
boo. Yeah, Chris Versteeg. I mean, and Oli Jokian was my favorite player. And just being a little kid and just the games were so non entertaining, just running around, sneaking into the club level because no one cared, because there was no one at the games, and just going to places like in the stadium of It's Sugar, goofing off, like playing pranks while I'm sure my dad was there and the older people like, my God, this team is terrible. It's so
I
bad.
I I remember one of my fondest memories is right before COVID shut us down. I didn't want to. It wasn't even when I was a child. I was still in my teenage years and whatever. But I am a little bit young still. But I remember just walking around the stadium, the club level, and then coming across Trocheck jerseys for $5, just sitting there right there, and the people they just have like little sticky notes and all of them, all $5. Grab them while you can, all and everything, and then you keep on going through them. Huberto jerseys for $10. He's still on a team. He had Huberto who was still on a team, and they were selling for $10. Like that's how bad this franchise like genuinely was. Like this team was, no one wanted their jerseys at this point. No one wanted them.
Even I'm going back to the years before we got when we were setting up for the first
Oh, I
overall pick,
know.
the second overall third, and then we got those guys and we were still terrible. Like you said,
We had Nathan Horton. Zach Hyman didn't even want to play for us.
yeah, Zach
Nathan
I
Horton.
refused to play here. Zach Hyman, and now we're one game away from crushing his dreams.
I think
Um,
Nathan Horton being with us for a while and then not wanting to be with us again. We us trading him and then him winning his cups with Boston and going ahead and having to go ahead and look on as he was at one point our Lord and Savior, and watch him go ahead and raise the cup for a different team was, I mean, that was traumatic as a Panthers fan. You had, of course, we obviously have the trading Luongo for basically a bag of chips days. It's what it feels like. You have all these different, so many
Bowmeister,
different, but yeah,
Jay
Bowmeister.
Bowmeister.
Ole Jokinen doesn't even want to talk to the team. He doesn't relate to the team. He doesn't have any links to the team at this point. Um, Look back at Pavel Bure too, who probably didn't want to be here either. Pavel Bure's little Hall of Memorial inside of Merit Bank Arena, inside of that one little section where they have all the glass cases and all thing, is a one little picture frame, and that was it. Like it's insane to look back at this franchise, and the year of the rat was so long ago, and that team felt like, oh, this is where we turned it around so early on. This is where we established ourselves, and then we had that long 20 years of just absolutely nothing. We had that 2012, I mean that 2012 7-game series against New Jersey, which we lost in 7. You have the famous meme of Dale Talent just putting his head on the desk, and that birthed the new meme of just, that is this team in a shell, of the team just being so close yet so far away every single time. And then you have this.
Just crazy. And then Yager. We had Yarmir Yager at 100 years old playing for the team and still had game. I mean, really, I don't know where we would be without him because, in my mind, he just instilled that work ethic in Barkov that the rest of the team
I
has
agree
taken out.
too. I
Yeah,
completely agree. I always tell everyone that whenever I see them, like, you guys think Barkov's good now? Yarmir Yager taught that.
yeah. It came to skate with like a 50-pound vest and was playing. I'm sure as Barkov gets older, he'll adopt some more of things of that nature. But I think he really instilled a work ethic that transformed this team. And same with the guy who Bill Zito credits the turnaround of the most recent iteration of the Panthers, Patrick Hornquist.
Yes.
An unsung hero in this that I want to say he's still with the organization. I know
He
last year he
is.
was. Okay, yeah, good. I mean,
Let
he
me
deserves.
let me go ahead and make sure, actually, because I don't want to go ahead and say this.
Great guy coaching. I mean, I was like last year I wanted to just get rid of him because he was making too much money, and that's not his fault that he had the contract. But I mean, who cares now with all this everything? Who cares about the contracts and everything? And yeah, I mean, just honestly, to how far this franchise has come, it's just mind blowing. And so many of these guys, like just even a guy like Kyle Okposo, who hasn't scored a goal yet in the playoffs, but like where if you told him in January before the trade deadline that you'd be one win away from winning a Stanley Cup, I mean, he would have called you crazy. Like
I'm
so
sure.
many of these guys deserve it. Not that the Oilers players don't deserve it either, but I mean the Panthers have served their time. I think really, now that we could look back on it, being one win away, I mean, getting their ass handed to them by Vegas was was needed. It really was. I think that they took so much from that series and are putting it to work here now. Um, Everything that has happened over the course of the last 3 4 years to this team, um, looking back on the journey now, was needed step. And the journey is nearly complete. You have one final step to take, and it's the hardest step to take, but they have passed every test so far, and I have no doubt in my mind that they will complete the job. Personally, again, I think the job will be finished on Saturday. Um, but yeah, I mean, any other overall thoughts on either the franchise as a whole, the newest iteration? Do you want to give any more credit to anyone?
I will go ahead and say that you are. I was correct. I believe. Yeah, Patrick Hornvest eventually got traded to Florida in 2020, announced his retirement back in July, and he joined the Florida Panthers front office as a scouting and development consultant. So he is still with the organization.
Good, 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 good.
And so I'm not sure. I don't think he'll get his name on the cup, but I know. I know.
Luongo does.
Yeah, Luongo will, and that's honestly what I care about the most, just because Luongo. If we win this last game, Luongo deserves the most. There is a single guy in this organization. He could have left us so many times, and he decided to stick with us. And then he
And come
also
back.
a man of the most famous quotes of all time. Just my contract sucks, and everything else. A man of very, very, very funny taste, and he deserves all the bit of credit he deserves because he was such a huge. He is probably one of the best, if not the best, Florida Panther of all time. He's every single bit of this team is just bleeds from him, and he has given his life to this team. It feels like, and if there was ever a guy that I would love to see just steal the cup away from Barkov if we win, it would be Roberto Luongo just coming on the ice, stealing it, and taking it home. I would love it.
All right. So speaking of the cup, I'm gonna give my thoughts. I know you said you didn't want to, but visioning
No,
it
I,
and
I, I will, but
all
it's
right.
gonna be very. It's gonna be. There's gonna be no thought through it.
So I'm taking this. It's Saturday, 10:45. I've had a lot of beers already, and the clock hits 0. I got a funny feeling. This is a total just shot in the dark. I think we might see some overtime, something along those lines. And
I wouldn't
first
mind it.
off, the series clinching goal is scored by none other than Eetu Luostarinen. Backup pick, it's going to be generic. Mr. Clutch himself, Carter Verhaeghe. Could obviously see that happening. But my gut is just telling me Eetu Luostarinen is going to score the clinching goal after missing the finals last year. Panthers go wild, gloves everywhere, sticks everywhere. Um, Barkov lifts the cup, hands it off to Kyle Okposo. That's my guess. And then Okposo gives it back, Blad. And then Bob. And then from there, I do not know. But that's my prediction. And did I have anything else? And Conn Smythe does go to Bob. I do think, for me, personally, my pick before was Barkov. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you deny Bob at this point. I mean, just what a finals he's had so far, and still got to finish the job. But I just walk you through how I'm envisioning tomorrow going.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'll go ahead and I'll give mine. Of course, if we lose, then I will be very distraught and very upset, and I will be the most
And
unhinged person in the
panicking. I
world.
will be possibly panicking already. That's just how
Uh,
I am. But
yes, I've seen this team lose too many times to know I know a losing franchise when I see one. Um, if I go ahead and if I have to go ahead and like set the scene and say like the most perfect ending to me would be this: the team it goes to overtime, and I think it's gonna be a 0-0 game going into overtime. It'll be a double overtime, and 10 minutes into double overtime, I'm gonna say Aaron Ekblad rips a shot from the top of the right side of the key, rips it home from the blue line, and scores the same exact way to win the cup, just like how the Avalanche broke her hearts back in the year of the Rat. I would say that would be the most perfect ending. We get swept, to we swept them, and of course it's not the same team, but it doesn't matter either way. But I mean, to go ahead and sweep the team and double overtime, just like how we lost in the year of the Rat. I believe it was double overtime at least. I'm not sure. I might be wrong on that one. I thought it
yeah,
was
I was.
okay. Um, my my memory from that year. I wasn't alive. You gotta give me credit here.
Nor I.
Uh, But I would say that would be like the most perfect like envisioning of it. Just like that would be the most storybook ending you could possibly written. The same way that we lost, we would go ahead and win it in double overtime. I feel like that would be like the most perfect way, and then I would go ahead and have Barkov. Um, I would have. I don't even know who I would have him handed off to. Um, uh, uh,
Why not
I
the
would
guy
say
who scored
Ekblad.
the winning goal? Yeah.
I would say Ekblad. I think it would have to be just because he's been with here the second longest, I believe. He's been here through so much, um, and probably Kulikov too. After that, I mean Kulikov wasn't here for all the years because he left and then came back. But I mean, Cooley was here. He knows how bad the team was. You could go ahead and give the Kulikov the cup. I wouldn't even be mad. But Opozo deserves it early on just because he's been working so hard for this. Um, I will probably be the most insufferable person in the world if Opozo gets benched and he doesn't even play the last game. I'd be so mad.
No, no way,
That
no shot.
that man deserves. I want Lombard to get his hands on the cup too.
I know. It's gonna be just incredible. It was nice to set the stage.
Please
Now they
win it
gotta do it
tomorrow.
for real. Yes, I know. I hope so bad. I already put in for the days off. I don't want to have to take out and then put back in and feel bad about doing it for my job. But yeah, I mean, look, I'll cards on the table and then we'll close out here. As soon as I'm done with work, I'm going to go buy some champagne for Saturday. I'm ready to party. South Florida is ready to party. You got to fight for your right to party. I'm ready to sing all the songs of winning a championship. It's right there. It's so close. Um, Handshakes one more time on their home ice, and stick it to the people of Edmonton, Matthew Kachuk and Sam Bennett, and Ryan Lomberg. If you get in, um, you know that they thought this series was going to be probably a sweep going the other way when they saw that Kachuk and Bennett were going to be the ones they're playing and how they've had success against them in the past. Um, yeah, I mean, final thoughts for me: just win. That's it.
My final thoughts is yeah, if the Panthers win, probably I don't even know how, but if we lose, I probably won't be in attendance for Game 5, but I will most likely be outside of the stadium begging for them to let me in while I watch in the parking lot. But I don't know how, but I'll be in. I'll make sure I'm in South Florida probably, and I will make sure I'm there for a parade if there is one. If we win it all and there's a parade, I need to make sure I'm there for the parade because this franchise, I don't even know I don't even know how you do it. I still think I put the tweet out. I still think the best parade you can do is just, hey, we're named after Florida. Just tour the entire state of Florida because why not? It's like
I
a 24-hour thing.
I have the route of the parade and the dates. Actually, I know if we finish the sweep, it will be the 20. Oh, geez, the 17th. 17th. I have all the dates. I just don't want to pull them up on my phone because then the cam would be weird. But it'd be the 17th. If it goes 5, it'd be the 20th, and then I think the 23rd if it was 6, and the 26th. I want to say. I could text him too if you'd like after, but then it would be down the A1A, right on Fort Lauderdale Beach, ending somewhere near the Elbow Room, and then I'm sure the party will continue at the Elbow Room.
If
This was
if we
before the flooding down here. I don't know if that changed. It's pretty much gone, I would say, but I mean, it could rain again, and then God knows what. But
if
that's
there
the
if
plan as of now.
what would the time be for the parade?
I don't know that. I don't know that. I just know the dates. Um, I know they're during the like it'd be like Wednesday or something. So it's like it'd
It
be
would be well the 17th. If we won on the 17th, I mean, if we won it for the 17th. Ooh, my dog. If we win it on the 17th, man, my dog is. Hold on.
I can't hear them. But yeah, I mean I do gotta get out of here. So yeah, I mean any final thoughts?
No, just hopefully we hopefully we win.
He's pumped for the Panthers. Let's lift it. Let's lift it, everyone. And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in so far. We'll hopefully have one more of these to wrap up after the win. Not another preview, but yeah, go Cats, go.